every paradox in 8 minutes.
Grandfather paradox. If you use a time machine to stop your grandparents from meeting, you might prevent your own birth. But if you were never born, how could you have used the time machine in the first place?
Because it starts an alternate universe in which you didn't exist, but in the universe you currently exist in, you still exist, right? So basically, you're gonna kill your like, if I go back in time and I kill my dad, I wouldn't exist in the universe that I killed my father in, but in the universe that I was originally in, that still exists. It starts a different universe.
Achilles and the tortoise. Achilles, a fast runner, gives a tortoise a head start in a race. The paradox says Achilles will never pass the tortoise because every time Achilles reaches where the tortoise was, the tortoise has moved a little. It keeps going like this forever, making it seem like Achilles can't catch up. Ship of Theseus.
That's not even a paradox, bro. What? That's if he can't physically pass it.
Forever.
If he gives a tortoise a head start, he could just run past the tortoise.
You have a ship and you replace all its parts. Is it still the same ship? If you use the old parts to build...
That's like one of the first questions they would ask me in some of my philosophy classes. If you have a ship and you rebuild all of its parts over the span of like however many years, at what point is it a new ship? I don't think it's a new ship ever. Even if it eventually has all new parts, it is still referenced as the same ship. Physically, it's a different mechanism, but it is the same ship. Same thing with a car. If you have your car and you keep replacing a bunch of parts, it's still the same car because it's referenced as the same vehicle.
Build another ship. Which one is the original? Sorites paradox. You have a heap of sand. If you remove 1 grain at a time, when does it stop being a heap?
I hate this one. How many grains of sand means it's a pile? How much sand would need to be in your vision for it to be a pile of sand? It's a subjective question. There is no answer. Because you could say, 1,000 pieces, but in reality, you're going to reference a pile of sand as enough to where it looks like it's stacking, right? Like, I would say this is a pile of sand. But at what point is it no longer a pile of sand? Like, if it's just this little part right here and you cut, like, if it's just that, I would not say that's a pile of sand.
Barbershop paradox. In a town, the rule is the barber shaves those who don't shave themselves. But who shaves the barber? If he shaves himself, it breaks the rule. If he doesn't, he should be shaved according to the rule. Catch-22 paradox.
That one's fucking stupid.
Needing something you can only have if you don't need it. For example, a pilot can avoid dangerous flights if he's insane, but asking not to fly shows he's sane. Fermi paradox. If the universe is infinite, why haven't we seen any aliens? Opposite day paradox.
Okay, that really didn't go into the Fermi paradox, though. He just said he had a one-liner on what the fucking Fermi paradox is. You could go to... There's a bunch of theories on why we haven't seen aliens yet. Some are it's like a big filter, or that they're so far away, or they have seen us and they don't want to interact with us.
If I say that it's opposite day...
Or the government has seen aliens and they're just fucking hiding it!
Is it? Simpson's paradox. It occurs when a trend appears in different groups of data, but disappears or reverses when the group are combined. This shows that the overall conclusion can be opposite to the conclusions drawn from individual subgroups. Tolerance paradox. Unlimited tolerance can make tolerance disappear, as it allows too much intolerance. For a tolerant society to survive,
You said tolerant too many times and you lost me.
Tolerance paradox. Unlimited tolerance can make tolerance disappear, as it allows too much intolerance. For a tolerant society to survive, it must not tolerate intolerance. Bootstrap paradox.
Wow. That is actually... I mean, that's more true than it is a paradox. It can't tolerate intolerance, because if you're a tolerant society, then you tolerate people that are intolerant, and then everybody could be intolerant.
If a time traveler gives a young Einstein a book with the theory of relativity, and Einstein publishes it as his own, who's the original author? Stockdale paradox. Believing you will soon succeed.
What?
If a time traveler gives a young Einstein a book with the theory of relativity, and Einstein publishes it as his own, who's the original author?
The time traveler, if he wrote it.
Stockdale paradox. Believing you will soon succeed decreases your chances of succeeding. Meanwhile, maintaining a belief that you will succeed one day increases your chance of succeeding. Jevons paradox.
Dude, that is just fucking confirmation bias. That's not even a paradox.
Believing you will soon succeed decreases your chances of succeeding. Meanwhile, maintaining a belief that you will succeed one day
I thought it said that you wouldn't succeed.
increases your chance of succeeding.
Well, no shit, because you're giving yourself the short term versus the long term. If I say I'm going to be a millionaire tomorrow, that's going to decrease my chances of being a millionaire tomorrow. Or not even decrease, it's just not going to happen, right? But if I'm like, I'm going to be a fucking billionaire in a year or fucking 10 years, then the odds of that happening are much different, right?
Jevons paradox. Technological improvements that increase the efficiency of resource use tend to cause an overall increase in resource consumption because people like the product more. Olbers' paradox. Why is the sky dark if there are a vast number of stars in the universe? Paradox.
That's not a fucking paradox. It's because it's far as shit. And light isn't going to illuminate everything. It has to have something to illuminate. If there's a voidness in space, it's not going to illuminate the void.
Thrift. Saving more money individually is generally a good thing, but it can lead to economic problems for everyone as it could cause reduced consumption and economic growth. Unexpected hanging paradox.
Yeah, you do need people to spend a lot of money. If everybody saves money, then the economy collapses. Whereas if everybody spends money, then it becomes a massive problem, right? So you need some people to be financially irresponsible.
Paradox. A condemned prisoner is told he'll be hanged on a weekday next week, but the execution will surprise him. As the week progresses, he reasons that Friday is the latest possible day for the hanging, since it would still be a surprise on Thursday. But if it hasn't happened by Thursday night, Friday is no longer a surprise. He concludes it must occur on Thursday, yet that would also be expected. Value paradox. Essential things like water are...
Then they could just kill him on a Tuesday, bro. What? They could just fucking execute that motherfucker on a Tuesday. It must be a weekday. Hey, we might hang you any day of the fucking week. Oh, well, they couldn't do it Friday because that'd be expected, but then it would be Thursday. Thursday makes the most sense. Okay, it can't be Thursday. They just fucking kill your ass on Monday.
Cheaper despite being crucial, while non-essentials like diamonds are more expensive. Pinocchio paradox. If Pinocchio says, "My nose will grow," it creates a logical dilemma.
Wait, what the fuck was the thing?
Are cheaper despite being crucial, while non-essentials like diamonds are more expensive.
It's not because it's essential, it's because of the abundance. Essential things aren't cheaper because they're crucial. Essential things are cheaper because there's a lot of them, right? Diamonds, there's actually a lot of, and it's a whole fucking thing of the diamond market, and they hide how many diamonds are actually there, and they kind of sprinkle them in, and so it creates a falsehood of rarity, because diamonds are actually much more common than you think they are, but they only release a certain amount of diamonds so that they're more expensive because they're manipulating the market because they have such a high reign. It's a monopoly, basically. That's all I needed to say was it's a monopoly. They have a monopoly on the fucking diamond business so they can determine the price of the diamonds because they have access to all the fucking diamonds. But for water, there's a fuck ton of water, right? So you can't really say, I have all the fucking water, you can't have any.
Pinocchio paradox. If Pinocchio says, "My nose will grow," it creates a logical dilemma. If it's true, his nose should grow. But
okay, I hate this paradox. It's true, but it agitates me.
He's lying. If it's false, his nose shouldn't grow, but then
yeah, because Pinocchio's nose only grows when he lies. So if he says his nose will grow, it won't grow. If he says his nose will grow, it will because he's lying. But if it does grow, then he's not lying, in which case it wouldn't grow. I think it would grow. If Pinocchio says my nose will grow, will it grow? I think yes, because at the moment of him saying my nose will grow, it won't. In which case it will, right? But then it shouldn't, but it does, right? Because at the time he said my nose will grow, it wasn't supposed to, and then it did, right? So it's two separate time frames.
The more directly one seeks pleasure or happiness, the less likely they are to achieve it. Crocodile.
That's not even a parrot. That's not even a parrot. I mean, it's a paradox, but that's just I don't know why I want to say it's not a paradox. It's true because paradox could still be true. But that is honestly like a life lesson. If you are so if you're so driven in your life to arrive at a certain moment and you can't be happy until that moment, you won't be happy in the majority of your life. You could strive towards something, but if the true key to happiness is being happy in the scenario that you're in, right? You always want to strive to be in a better scenario, but if you're always unhappy unless you're at a certain point. Like, if you're looking just in a short example, like, say you're like, I need to go to vacation, and I'll be happy when I'm on vacation. You're not going to be happy until that moment, and when you're actually at the vacation, the moment of happiness is going to not be as monumental as you thought it was, right? So if you're just happy with where you are all the time, I mean, it's easier said than done, but...
A crocodile steals a child and promises its return if the parent correctly predicts what the crocodile will do. If the parent says the child won't be returned and the crocodile agrees, a paradox arises. If the crocodile returns the child, it contradicts its promise. If it doesn't return the child, it also contradicts the agreement. Sword and shield paradox. What happens when a sword sharp enough to cut any shield meets a shield strong enough to block any blade? Dichotomy paradox. Imagine
nothing, because they're both infinitely strong. So nothing would happen. The universe explodes when that happens.
First have to walk halfway there, and to walk halfway there, you'd first have to walk a quarter of the way there, and so on, creating an infinite amount of steps and causing you to not be able to reach your destination. Fletcher paradox. Though it seems an arrow in motion is continuously changing its position, the paradox argues that at any instant, it can't move to where it isn't, or where it is, making it stationary. Since time consists of these instants, this paradox suggests the arrow is stationary the entire time. Grand Hotel paradox. In an infinitely big hotel with infinitely many rooms, even if all rooms are occupied, the hotel can still accommodate more guests. In order to accommodate you, the hotel could, hypothetically, move the guest from room 1 to room 2. This would move every guest from their current room to a new room, which is possible since there's an infinite number of rooms. Card paradox.
I feel like I watched a Vsauce video with that paradox, but then there's another paradox that is on top of that paradox in the fact that you could have an infinite number of people that are brought, and then it wouldn't have enough room.
Has the phrase, the sentence on the other side of this card is true on the front side, and the phrase, the sentence on the other side of this card is false on the back side. Liar paradox. Imagine that someone says, I'm lying. If the liar is indeed lying, then the liar is telling the truth, which means that he just lied about lying. Grain truth, which means that he just lied.
If a liar says that he's telling the truth, that means he's lying, and that means he lied about lying, which means that he's telling the truth.
Grain of millet paradox. When a grain of millet falls, it makes no sound, but when 1,000 grains fall, they do, thus many of nothing become something. The truth is that it does make a sound. It's just that it's so inaudible that we don't perceive it. Boltzmann brain. It might be more likely for a single brain to spontaneously form in a void, complete with a memory of having
this is a fucking paradox one of my chatters brought up.
Existed in our universe, rather than for the entire universe to come about. Paradox of enrichment.
But, like, you gotta prove that.
Service recovery paradox. Successfully fixing a problem with a defective product may lead to higher consumer satisfaction than in the case where no problem occurred at all. Stability-instability paradox. When two countries each have nuclear weapons, the probability of a direct war between them greatly decreases, but the probability of minor or indirect conflicts between them increases. Ironic process.
Yeah, that is the issue with nuclear weapons, because you can't get rid of them. Because say we just go, hey, we're going to get rid of our weapons, now we're at a vulnerable point. But if we keep them and every country has them, then there's a less likely chance of nuclear war, but also an increased chance of nuclear war because more people have nuclear weapons, and the more people that have nuclear weapons, the more likely the chance that it is that people use that nuclear weapon instead of just using them as threats, because then somebody one day is going to be a fucking crazy motherfucker and just use it. I don't know.
Paradox of choice. It's the theory that eliminating consumer choices can be beneficial because it greatly reduces anxiety for shoppers. Birthday paradox. To have a 100% probability of at least 2 people in a group having the same birthday, you'd need 366 people. To have a 50% probability, however, you'd need just 23 people.
Why? Explain it, dude. I know you're getting every paradox in 8 minutes, man. What the fuck? But that's not going to give you a 50% probability. If you have 26 people, they're going to have the same exact birthday. No fucking shot. If you round up 23 people, there is a much lesser chance than 50% that they're going to have the same fucking birthday. Is that a fact? The chance of 2 people having the same birthday are 1 in 365, not accounting for a leap year. So the odds you'll meet a handful of people in your life who enjoy the same birthday as you is 1 in 365. But then how is it 50% if it's 23? In a room of 23 people, there's a 50-50 chance that at least 2 people in that room share the same birthday. In a room of 75 people, there's a 99.9% chance of at least 2 people matching. How? I don't understand that. I know it's exponentiality, but how are you going to say that there's a 1 in 365 chance that somebody's going to have the same birthday as you, but then throw in the idea that 23 people, it's a 50-50 shot? That doesn't follow fucking logic.
Schrodinger's cat. In quantum theory...
Okay, I fucking hate this shit. Oh my God. I've talked about this too many times.
A particle can be in multiple states simultaneously when not observed. This state is called superposition. When observed, however, the superposition condition collapses, and the particle is randomly in exactly one of those states. Let's hypothetically say that we put a machine that releases...
It makes me feel like I'm in a simulation. It makes me feel like I'm in a simulation. How are you going to tell me that quantum particles are in a state of, say, either up or down, and it's just kind of undecided, right? But the second I look at it, it's up. And conversely, one that is connected to it could be all the way across the universe, and it could be faster than the speed of light, is simultaneously the opposite.
Releases poison only when the particle is in the A state in a box, and that we also put a cat in it. Until observed, the machine would simultaneously release the poison and not release the poison. This means that, until observed, the cat would be both alive and dead. This would obviously work only if we don't consider the cat or the machine as observers. Twin paradox. According to Einstein, the faster you move through space, the slower you move through time. If your identical twin became an astronaut and went on a spaceship that traveled at the speed of light...
This is the coolest shit in the world to me. I don't know. I think this one's the fucking sickest. I watched it on Interstellar, and I just love talking about it. The idea that I could go really fucking fast on another planet and then come back, and I'd still be the same age, but everybody else would be older. Time is always relative to you. How you experience time will always be the same, but everything around you changes. And what's really fucking freaky is our lifespan actually has no definitive timeline, right? Like, the average person lives 75 years in the US, but what is 75 fucking years? 75 rotations around the Earth? What if we didn't rotate around the Earth and you just lived in a void? How do you determine how long you live? Just a certain amount of time. It just feels like, I don't know, a long time. The sun? No, I'm saying, say I throw a human in a void and I remove their concept of time. Not even of time. I remove their concept of the time that we've created, right? In the sense of like seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, shit like that. They're just gonna live an undiscernible amount of time. If you go to, like, tribes, this is what's really freaky. If you go to tribes that don't have, like, clocks, like, they'll know, like, who's an elder and who's not, but they have no idea how old they are. And when you say how old they are, it's just like, okay, like, what does that mean? I'm fucking 60? Oh, what is a 60 what? They don't, it's like, it's a concept that isn't grasped.
He's some years older than him when he returned. Friendship paradox. On average, your friends tend to have more friends than you do. This
we already watched a video about this one.
Happens because people who are social and have more friends are more likely to be your friends. Raven paradox. If you wanted to confirm that all ravens are black, finding a black raven supports your claim. But the paradox suggests that also finding something that is not a raven and not black, such as a green apple, supports your claim. Temperature paradox. If the temperature is
That does not support my fucking claim. In what world is that a fucking paradox? I go, all ravens are black. Here's a green apple. You're going to be like, are you fucking dumb? What do you mean? How does that support my claim? It's null. It's neither. It doesn't support me and it doesn't hinder me. I go, all ravens are black. Here's a fucking air up bottle. Oh, that doesn't help me.
Paradox. If the temperature is 90 and the temperature is rising, is 90 rising? Interesting number paradox. There can't be a smallest uninteresting number as if it's the first uninteresting one. It becomes interesting for that fact. It naturally follows that every single number is interesting.
Okay, you want to know what really fucks me up? Brooke made this happen to me. I can't have the volume on an odd number, right? So I have the volume on my TV on 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, right? She's fine with 5 and 10. She says 5s are fine. I go, okay, whatever. But here's what really fucks me up. 2 is the first even number, which makes it odd, right? So realistically, 4 is the first true even number, right? Because it's the second even number. But that makes it the first second even number, which makes it an odd number. 2 is even, right? So if I go, okay, I can have the volume set on 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. If I look at 2, 2 is the first even number. I can't have it on that. So I go to 4, but 4 is the first second even number, which makes it even, but it also makes it the first second even number, which makes it an odd number, which means that I can't have it on that either. It's like...
Irresistible force paradox. What happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object?
That's the same thing as the fucking sword!
Lottery paradox. If there is one winning ticket in a large lottery, it is reasonable to believe of any particular lottery ticket that it is not the winning ticket, but it is not reasonable to believe that no lottery ticket will win. Preparedness paradox. After preparing to avoid a catastrophe and lessening the damage, the perception regarding the catastrophe would be much less serious due to the limited damage caused after. Shout out to these guys who are the first 2 patrons that support my channel. You can...
That was a good video. That was a good video. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that very much.